Hi there. Welcome to Real Life on the Homestead in Ontario. I'm moving quickly, as always. Sun's just coming out. I just got the animals out. Our local farm that we love using, they picked their corn last night. And it is a chilly morning, so it kept really well overnight. And I'm going to go pick some up because there's nothing better than fresh corn. But I can it for the entire winter. And I'm going to show you how I do it. Raw packed, no blanching, super easy, but really delicious. And I'll explain to you why I've chosen to do this as my way of preserving corn rather than freezing or blanching or cooking and then canning. There's reasons, and I'm going to share them with you. My experiences. Hope you join me for the day. So why am I running out so early in the morning? Well, it's because the fresher the corn, the better the flavor. And if you're not going to grow your own corn, you need to get it from a farmer. Even better than getting it at a farmer's market, because you don't know when it's been picked. And I want to make sure I have no starch developing in that corn to maintain the sweetness. Now, I personally am not a huge fan of corn, but my family is, and I use it in a lot of recipes. So I need to make sure I preserve the best quality for my family. And that's why I'm out this early in the morning to get over to that farm, because they picked it last night and it's at its peak. I know husking's pretty simple, but let me just explain to you, if you've ever had trouble husking and you don't know why it's so difficult, a lot of people will tend to try and rip half of it off at once. What you should do is do a third or less. Pull that back first, and then 2/3 divided. And the reason is, when you peel off a half a husk, you're creating a lot of tension and it makes it really hard to peel. But if you just take a small slither to start it off and then go from there, it's actually quicker. And you think you're doing more so it'll be faster. It's not so. Now, take a little break and explain to you why I don't blanch my corn. Well, first of all, blanching is for the purpose of stopping the aging of your vegetable or fruit. And when you blanch, you stop the aging, but when you're cooking it, you've already stopped the aging. We're not freezing this corn. We're going to be canning it, and we're going to be canning it raw. Now, why am I doing it raw rather than blanching and then taking it off the cob and packing it into jars? The flavor is intensely different. When you blanch your corn, then take it off the cob, it's already partially cooked, pack that in a jar, you've already lost some of that flavor into that blanching water. When you do it raw, pack it into your jar, then add water and can it, everything from that corn is inside that jar. Now, yes, your jars will be cloudier because the starch from the corn is actually in the water, so the jar looks a little cloudier. But would you rather have pretty looking corn that tastes blah, or creamy looking corn that tastes just like corn on the cob? I'll go for taste above anything. And with the taste also goes any nutrition you'd have in it. My family loves it, so I'm canning it for them. And it's going to take a little while because I did pick up quite a few. But when I run the canner, it's always a big project. So let's get these done, and I'll show you how I put them in my jars. And I'll also show you a great tool that I've been using to take the corn off the cob. Now, I used to always use a knife and run down my corn. But this little gadget, and that's what it is, it's a little gadget, because really you could do it just with the knife. I'm pretty happy with it, so I will link it below. And if you're interested in it, it's not expensive. You can grab one. I got mine off Amazon. That's the link I'll give you. But like I said, if you wanted to, you could do it with the knife. I don't worry too much if I don't get all the corn off the cob, because I will give all the cobs after the corn's been removed to the chickens. They will enjoy it, and I don't feel like I'm losing out, because the chickens will be benefiting from them. And when the chickens benefit, I get nicer eggs, and in turn, I'm actually getting a benefit from it. So no worries. I'm just going to finish this up, and then we'll talk about canning. So what I'm going to do is share with you a few of the techniques that I've learned to do over the years. And first one is a bundt pan. You can take your cob, place it on a bundt pan, and it's one that you haven't clipped off the end. So it just sits in there, and it's pretty much a holder for you. And then you take your knife. I'm just gonna take a little bit of the husk off here that I had missed. Yep, this is real life. We don't do things to perfection. So what you do is just go along the corn cob, twist, and as you're doing this, you notice that the corn is falling into the pan. Finish up and show it to you close up. See that? It catches all the corn. That's a great way to do it with the knife. I found that that really works. The other thing I like to do is take the back of the knife, not the blade, but the back, and I will just scrape down the cob, and that just takes some of the cream, you see that, and adds it to the corn, because there's a lot of sweetness in that. But you do not want to cut into the cob. First of all, it's fibrous. You don't need it. Yes, there's a tiny bit of corn in there. So you know what? The chickens will enjoy this. The other thing is, I'm going to take the protector blade off of this. These are two little gadgets that I have purchased, both of them on Amazon. And what you do with this, if you're uncomfortable, you can wear one of those butchering gloves. And what you do is you just run along, not hard. And what you're doing is pulling off the corn. You're not edging it towards, or you're not angling it towards the cob. You're doing it away from the cob. This one, I'm leaving a lot behind. You see that? So this one that I tried, didn't like. This one here, you have a nice grip because your whole hand goes around it. Same technique, pull away from the cob towards you. And I will angle this a little bit closer so you can see it better.
If you're using this tool for the first time, I find that laying your corn flat and then running the tool makes it a lot easier. So you can do it on a cutting board. I'm pretty comfortable with it, so I'm just using the edge of my pan. But if you were to use a cutting board and then run it straight across, you'll find that you get all the corn off first try. It is a practice thing, so the more you do it, the easier it gets.
We're in the outdoor kitchen. I don't like recording in here because it is dark, but it's the easiest way to show you everything in order. Now, I have my corn. There you go, lots of it. And that took 45 minutes to get off the cob. So 6 dozen, 45 minutes, that is reasonable to me. What I'm gonna do is show you the process. I have clean jars. My canner is sitting on the stove with just warm water. I don't have it boiling, but what I'm gonna do is place my raw corn in the mason jar. I'm gonna leave 1 inch headspace. And to this, and this is only for flavor, it's not part of the preservation, I'm going to add a half a teaspoon of salt per jar. To this jar, I'm going to add hot water. So now that I'm adding hot water to my cold corn and my cold jar, and let me get my debubbler. The reason I'm doing this is making sure that there is no air pockets in there. And I do like to use the plastic debubblers or a chopstick rather than a knife or a spoon, because I don't want anything metal hitting the sides of the jar and maybe fracturing them. And then after I've debubbled, I top it off so we have that 1 inch headspace. Once your jar is filled, make sure to take a piece of cloth or paper towel with a bit of vinegar, making sure that there's no residue. Place your lid, seal it, and this is going in the canner. This is now relatively warm because the hot water with the cold product and cold jar has made it warm. This is going in the canner. I'm not showing you a process of canning, but I will explain it clearly. This goes in the canner. I'm going to put the lid on. Once the lid is on, I'm going to vent for 10 minutes. So once the water starts boiling, the whole canner's warm, I'm going to actually show you on the lid. Once the canner's hot and it's building its steam, it will vent through here. And once there's a straight stream of steam coming out, I start the timer for 10 minutes. I can't find my words right now. So once I have it venting for 10 minutes, then I put my weight on. And once the weight is on, the pressure will start to build. Once my pressure is at 11 pounds of pressure, that's what I use in my area, but find out what the pressure level will be for your elevation. Once it hits the 10 or 11 pound pressure, then I start my timer. The timer is for 55 minutes. After 55 minutes, I shut off the gas and I just let it come down to temperature, drop down to 0. I usually wait about 10 minutes after it's at 0 before opening the lid. Now, we're gonna get back to the corn and why I raw pack it. When I raw pack it and I've cooked it, it gets creamy. It's not that clear liquid with kernels of corn in there, but that's okay because this is flavor. When you blanch your corn, you're putting it in, like you've already taken the starch, it's in the pot where you blanched it. And then you cut it off and you put it in here. It's already cooked. You're adding more water. You're taking away a lot of the flavor from the corn. If you're gonna do it in a chowder, no problem because you're using the liquid, you're using the corn. But if you're taking this corn and you're gonna drain off the liquid, You want as much flavor as possible in the corn. Now, this is what I do with my canning. And I found that this way, everybody loves it. I've made these half quart jars, 500 mils, and everybody loves the corn. However, sometimes I want a little bit less. So I'll be doing some jelly sized jars. These are 125 milliliters. Never happened to me before, but I ran out of memory on my card for my videos. Using these 125 milliliter jars because they will be enough for one serving for my spouse. I'm not a huge corn fan, so this will be perfect. I will top these up and I will be making these as well. Because I have two different sizes in the canner, I will time based on the larger jar. So I'm going to be doing 55 minutes of canning. Well, friends, I hope you've liked the way I do my canned corn. You need to try this. It's a fantastic way to have canned corn. And I know some people will say, well, why don't you just buy it? Well, number one, the more processing, the less nutritious. And it's in a can. I avoid buying canned food as much as possible. The only thing I always go to for canned food is tuna. But if I can avoid it at all costs, I will. I know this corn was picked last night, canned today. It's at its peak. It will be at its peak for nutrition as well as flavor. And that's my goal, to feed my family the best I can possibly feed them. Now, if you're liking this type of content, please like, subscribe, share with your friends. And our next project is fermented cabbage, known as sauerkraut. And it's so easy. Please join me. Make sure you're subscribed to our channel so that you see that video as soon as it comes out. For now, go out, live your best life. We'll talk to you soon.